The afternoon sun cast a golden hue across the bustling streets, and the scent of freshly baked bread floated through the air. Inside a cozy corner bakery called Sweet Like You, laughter mixed with the hum of conversation. Liam stood behind the counter, wiping his flour-dusted hands on his apron as he arranged a tray of cinnamon rolls. His light brown hair curled slightly at the ends, his cheeks warm from the oven's heat. "Mommy, when will Daddy come and be with us? I want to know him." The small voice broke the gentle rhythm of the bakery. Liam looked down to see his daughter Millie staring up at him with her big doe eyes, the same eyes that mirrored his own. She was holding a sugar cookie, half eaten, her lips coated in crumbs and innocence. Liam smiled softly, though his heart clenched. "Someday soon, baby," he whispered, tucking a loose strand of her dark hair behind her ear. "Someday soon." They walked the short distance from the bakery to their apartment, hand in hand, the evening breeze brushing against them. To anyone watching, they looked like a perfect little family, even if there was a piece missing. 2 years ago, his life had changed in a way he could never have imagined. In this world, men and women alike could give birth. It wasn't unusual, but it wasn't something Liam ever thought would happen to him. He'd been quiet, shy, the kind of person who found comfort in silence, who baked more than he spoke. Parties weren't his thing. But that night, the night that changed everything, his best friend had begged him to come along. "Come on, Liam," his best friend Parker had said, eyes sparkling mischievously. "You can't spend your 20s only baking muffins and scaring people with your perfectionist frosting skills. You need to live a little." Liam had laughed softly, rolling his eyes. "I live plenty. The oven is my nightlife." But Parker didn't give up, so Liam went. Just for a while, he told himself. The music was loud, the air heavy with perfume and laughter. Parker got a sudden call and stepped outside. Liam stayed behind, holding a drink someone had handed him. He never noticed when someone, a man who had been eyeing him all night, slipped something into it. It didn't take long before the world tilted. He remembered warmth, hands, a voice that was gentle and deep, and eyes that glowed with confusion and hunger all at once. And despite the haze, he remembered something else. Tenderness, the kind that felt like he mattered. The next morning, he woke alone. No name, no note, no memory clear enough to trace. Just the echo of something that felt heartbreakingly real. When he discovered he was pregnant weeks later, he didn't cry. Instead, he touched his stomach and smiled. "It's okay," he'd whispered. "We'll be fine." His parents were shocked, but stood by him. They tried to find the father, but every lead disappeared into nothing. Whoever the man was, he was gone, as though he'd vanished off the face of the earth. What he didn't know was that the man had left the country. Ethan Lee, cold, powerful, and absurdly wealthy, had been drugged that same night by someone within his circle. When he woke up and realized what had happened, his fury was volcanic. He'd assumed the person he'd slept with had been part of the setup, a gold digger trying to climb the social ladder. He didn't bother to investigate. Instead, he destroyed everyone involved, bankrupted them, imprisoned them, and erased every trace of that night, including the person he'd unknowingly hurt the most. 2 years later, Ethan returned home, older, sharper, haunted. He didn't believe in second chances, until one day his younger sister walked into his office holding a pink pastry box. "Brother, you have to try these," she said, setting it on his desk. "They're from my favorite bakery, Sweet Like You. The guy there bakes like a dream." Ethan barely looked up. "I don't eat sweets." Her sister glared. "Then you'll eat this one, or I'll tell Mom you haven't been sleeping again." Ethan sighed, relenting. He picked up a small cupcake topped with delicate frosting and took a bite. His expression didn't change, not visibly, but something in his chest tightened. It tasted like something familiar, something that lingered deep in his memory. He couldn't explain it. Meanwhile, life at the bakery was as lively as ever. Parker often dropped by with his husband Leo, whose towering frame contrasted sharply with Parker's smaller build and big energy. One afternoon, as Liam was serving a customer, Two unruly men stumbled in, clearly drunk. "Hey, sweetheart," one slurred, leaning on the counter. "You got anything sweet for me?" Liam stiffened. Parker's expression darkened instantly. Leo was about to stand when Parker raised his hand, smirking. He sucked in a deep breath, rolled up his sleeves dramatically, and grinned.
"It's been a while since someone dared to provoke me," Parker said, voice dripping with mock danger. "Here, call me Daddy. Daddy here will let you feel good."
The men blinked, utterly confused. Liam nearly choked on air, trying to hold back laughter. Leo sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Every day with you," he muttered, before stepping forward and sending the men out with a single glare. The bakery burst into laughter. Even Millie clapped her little hands, saying, "Uncle Parker is funny." "Uncle Parker is trouble," Liam corrected fondly, shaking his head. That evening, when Liam went to restock flour at the back, a sleek black car stopped in front of the bakery. Ethan stepped out, wearing a dark suit that fit like second skin. He followed his sister in, his expression calm, but his eyes sharp. The bell chimed as they entered. Liam turned, flour still dusting his cheek, and froze. For a moment, his heart stuttered. Something in Ethan's presence felt achingly familiar. The air, the voice when he thanked his sister, the quiet authority that made people step aside without him asking. Their eyes met. For a second, time itself seemed to hold its breath. Ethan's eyes softened imperceptibly, confusion flickering across his features. He'd seen that face before, somewhere deep in the fog of memory. But where? "Welcome," he said, his voice gentle. "What can I get for you?" Her sister answered brightly, "The usual, and one chocolate tart from my grumpy brother." Ethan's lips twitched faintly. "Grumpy? Truth hurts," she replied. As Liam prepared the order, he caught Ethan's eyes several times. There was something intense in them, curiosity, familiarity, something that made his chest feel too tight. When Ethan took the box, their fingers brushed briefly. The contact was electric, fleeting but undeniable. Later that night, Ethan couldn't sleep. That face, those eyes, the faint scent of vanilla and sugar, it all nagged him like an unfinished story. He finally asked his sister for the bakery's address. "I might need to discuss something with the owner," he said, trying to sound casual. She blinked. "You? Discuss? With a baker?" He ignored her teasing and went the next day. Liam was surprised to see him again. "You're back," he said, smiling politely. Ethan nodded. "I wanted to thank you. The pastry yesterday, it was good." Liam chuckled softly. "That's high praise coming from someone who doesn't eat sweets." "How do you... Your sister told me," he said. Ethan smiled faintly. "She talks too much." Their conversation flowed easily after that, about food, family, the bakery's growth. Ethan found himself returning every few days, sometimes just to sit and watch Liam work. There was something peaceful about the man, something pure that made the chaos in his own mind quiet down.
And then one day, Millie ran into the bakery after preschool, shouting, "Mommy!" Ethan's eyes widened slightly. Liam froze for a moment, turning pale. Millie ran into his arms, holding up a crayon drawing. "Look, I drew you and me and Daddy." The paper slipped slightly, revealing the drawing. A little girl, a parent with Liam's hair, and a man with dark eyes in a suit. Ethan's suit. For a moment, silence filled the room, then Ethan spoke, his voice low. "Millie?" Liam swallowed. "My daughter." The pieces fell into place so fast it hurt. Ethan remembered that night, the gentleness, the confusion, the way it had felt so real. He stepped closer, his expression unreadable. You're the one from that night?" Liam frowned. "What?" "That night, 2 years ago. It was you." The bowl in Liam's hand slipped, crashing against the floor. "What are you talking about?" he whispered. I thought it was a setup. Someone drugged me. I thought they were trying to trap me, so I made them all pay. I erased everything. I never even looked at who was really there. And it was you, Liam. I left you behind." Liam blinked rapidly, fighting tears. "So you thought I—" "Yes," Ethan said, his voice breaking slightly. And I was wrong. Millie looked between them, confusion knitting her brows. Mommy, are you crying? Liam laughed shakily, wiping his tears. No, baby, I'm okay. Ethan knelt down, looking at Millie. Hi there, he said softly. I'm Ethan. She tilted her head. Are you my daddy? Liam froze, heart pounding. Ethan looked at him, silently asking for permission. Liam gave a small nod, eyes glistening. Yes, Ethan whispered. I am. Millie grinned, throwing her arms around his neck. I knew it! Mommy said someday soon. Liam covered his face, overwhelmed by emotion. Parker, who had been standing by the door, whispered to Leo, Okay, I wasn't ready for the emotional drama today. Leo smiled. Shh, let them have their moment. Over the next few weeks, Ethan made it his mission to be there, really there. He showed up early at the bakery, sometimes rolling up his sleeves to help Liam knead dough, though he was hilariously bad at it. Careful, Liam said, laughing. You're going to flatten it, not fold it. Ethan raised an eyebrow. I run a billion-dollar company. How hard is baking? Apparently harder than managing a company, Liam teased. Parker burst out laughing, and yet he still looks like a Calvin Klein ad while doing it. Unfair. Slowly, the distance shrank. Ethan learned how Liam loved to hum while baking, how he always made too much batter because he didn't like wasting ingredients, and how he had this quiet courage that made him shine. One night, after closing the bakery, they walked together under the streetlights. Millie had fallen asleep on Liam's shoulder. Ethan stopped, looking at them. You're incredible, he said softly. You raised her on your own. You didn't have to, but you did. Liam looked up at him. I never felt like I was alone. I had her. That was enough. But you deserved more than enough, Ethan said, his voice low. You deserved love. You deserved someone who stayed. Liam's eyes softened. Are you planning to stay now? Ethan smiled, something tender breaking across his face. If you'll let me. Liam hesitated for a moment before leaning closer, their foreheads touching. Then stay. The world seemed to slow, the quiet hum of the city fading, replaced by the sound of their hearts beating in rhythm. And this time, Ethan didn't leave. Weeks turned into months, laughter filling the bakery in their home. Millie loved having Daddy around, especially when Ethan read her bedtime stories in his deep, soothing voice. Parker complained that it was too domestic, but everyone could see how happy they were. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Liam stood by the bakery window, watching Ethan and Millie playing outside with bubbles. He smiled to himself, warmth blooming in his chest. The man who once vanished had returned, not just to apologize, but to build something real. Ethan caught his gaze and smiled, lifting Millie up into his arms. We're missing you, Mommy, he called. Liam laughed, stepping outside and joining them. Millie squealed in delight as they wrapped her in a shared hug. The three of them stood there for a long moment, a perfect triangle of affection under the quiet evening sky. As the last of the bubbles popped and faded, and Millie began to nod off, her head heavy against Ethan's shoulder, they began their walk home. On getting home, Liam gently took her and carried her inside her bedroom, Ethan following close behind. The routine was now a comfortable ritual. Millie was tucked in, a final soft kiss, and the quiet click of her bedroom door closing. They walked into the living room, where the only light came from the distant street lamps filtering through the window. The air was warm with the lingering scent of sugar from the bakery, but the tension between them now was purely electric. She's asleep, Liam whispered, turning to face Ethan. Ethan took a step closer, his eyes dark and unwavering as they swept over Liam's face. And now it's just us, he replied, his voice a low, steady rumble that vibrated in the quiet room. He didn't hesitate. Ethan reached out, his hand cupping the side of Liam's neck, his thumb tracing the curve of his jaw. The touch was possessive, demanding, yet infinitely tender. Liam leaned into it, his breath catching as years of unspoken longing and regret finally evaporated in the face of this tangible, undeniable presence. He lifted his own hand, letting his fingers tangle in the rich darkness of Ethan's hair. Their foreheads met for a brief, shuddering moment, a silent affirmation of their bond. Then Ethan closed the final distance. The kiss was instant, deep, and all-consuming. It wasn't the tentative, confused touch of 2 years ago, but a deliberate, fiery convergence of two souls finding their way home. Ethan angled his head, drinking in the flavor of Liam, vanilla, warmth, and inherent sweetness that had always haunted him. Liam gave himself over to the kiss completely, a soft, involuntary moan escaping his throat as Ethan's other arm wrapped tightly around his waist, pulling their bodies flush together. Every movement was a declaration, the firm pressure of Ethan's mouth, the way Liam's body melted against his. It was a kiss that confessed, I was lost, and now I've found you. I belong here. Liam's fingers gripped Ethan's shirt, anchoring himself to the man who had returned to build a future. The air grew thick, charged with the sheer, magnificent passion of two men finally claiming the love they were always meant to share. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless, their hearts hammering a frantic, unified rhythm. Ethan rested his forehead against Liam's, his dark eyes glistening in the dim light. I love you, he breathed, the words heavy with sincerity and promise. I'm staying this time. Forever. Liam didn't need to answer with words. He simply tightened his arms around Ethan's neck, a perfect, contented smile, gracing his lips. For the first time in years, Liam felt complete. He realized that love, like baking, was about patience, and the sweetest things were always worth waiting for.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more BL stories.